Good afternoon. In this video, we're going to go over this week's options watch list. Before I get into the watch list, if you're not in the room, you can find the link in the description of the video and in the my bio section of social media accounts. Also, this is a short week. Friday we have off for Good Friday because Easter's next weekend. And so we'll have, 4 trading days, and 3 of them will be expiration, which will be fun. On the economic calendar, we have a couple of things. We have CPI on Tuesday. We have PPI on Wednesday. And we have retail sales on Thursday. I'm trying to see if there's any. Last I looked, I didn't see Powell or Yellen on here, but every time you look on Sunday, you don't see them, then they would just magically appear on the docket, in the middle of the week. We get the usual FOMC members, Fed people like Bernard talking, and there's always an FOMC member yakking throughout the week, so you got to be prepared for that. So yeah, that's going to be it on the economic calendar. I don't see too much, just a couple data things here and there which could move the market pre-market. So with that said, we'll get into the list. I'm not going to watch that many tickers because of the short week and the data numbers, and that could change the trading plan pretty quickly. So Target I have up. Target it's out of the Keltner channel on the daily, and it's pretty far away from the RCT trend line. If I was to take it, I might take it short right here underneath the 232 area for push to fill the gap at 230, 225, even down to the 220 area. So it does have a gap down here in the 217, 218. So we'll have to see if that will happen or not. I'll keep an eye on it. I don't usually trade Target that much, but once in a while, if I like it, I may grab it. So now Home Depot, same thing. Still watching now. Getting into season for spring and stuff like that. If it ever gets here, winter cannot ever seem to let go here where I live. But anyways, yeah, I'd watch it. It did reject the 20 EMA on the daily, but it's rejected it here the last time. So usually the second or third time it rejects on the daily, it does end up usually going, but we'll have to see. You can see the RTT trend line right here on the weekly. It's pretty far away from where the price is right now, so eventually it will catch up to it, to the 65 area. So I would watch Home Depot over what's Friday's highs. We'll round up to 313 for push to 315, 320. 320 will be a pretty big area because this is a pivot right here. You can see it's support here and resistance. So I'd watch it here above 320, at 320. If it does manage to get over 320, 325 or 330, so definitely keep an eye on that. Next we have, obviously we'll save SPY for last. Another one that I haven't traded in a long time that's kind of getting into a good area is the Union Pacific, which is UNP. When it gets down to this 235 level under 240, it seems to be bounced here, and here. So I would keep an eye on this over 245 for push to 250. You get a gap fill here at the 252 area, then you get 255, then 260 seems to be a pretty big area, and you get 265, 270, basically every $5 in the RCT trend line right here on the daily is 260. So it's right here at this pivot where it's support, and resistance here, support, resistance. So this is where our RCT trend line is, so it could make that move, and it does make some pretty good moves. This is range right here is 252 to 253. So makes it so it can make an $11 range day very easily on UNP. So definitely it's starting to look good on the daily, but it could also fall through too. But It's had some pretty significant red candles right here, so I would definitely keep an eye on that for a bounce. Microsoft, another one. It does not like to stay under 300. I mean, obviously it did here quite a bit, but when it does manage to get into the underneath the 300, it does manage to bounce most of the time. So it is finding support on the RCT trend line right here on the daily. So I would watch it over. I'd say 300 for a push to 305. Then you got 310, 315. 315 is going to be the big area it's going to need. If it does manage to break 315, 320, 330. Yeah, 320, 325, 330 could come in a flash. So, and we also like to mention that earnings season starting up in the next couple of weeks. So, we could start seeing some early earnings run-ups. And plus, we have the banks reporting this week. So, Facebook is another one I'm keeping an eye on. Facebook still had its big gap down from earnings last time. I'll be watching it over, let's see, 225 for a push to fill the gap around 230, 235. It does manage to get over 235. You get gap resistance right here, the 240, 245 area. And if it does manage to get over that, you get some open air right here. So I would say it could possibly stall out at 250, which is gap resistance right here. It's right at the top. Yeah, 250 right here. And the RCT trend line as well. I mean, not the RCT trend line. That's up here, 333. But the middle Keller, which is the 20 EMA, is at 257. So it definitely got room to 250, 260. We'll have to see if that will actually happen. And then Netflix is one that I always seem to watch during earnings season because it usually has, I should say, quote, usually has a massive earnings run up, but just hasn't the last couple of times. Maybe this time will be different. So I'd watch it over I could say 360 for push to 365, 370, and 375, 380. And you get the let's see, 380, 385. Basically every $5, 390, 395, 400. It used to stick right in this channel for the longest time. I mean, right in there from 480 to 580, 560. So it stayed in that channel for a long time. Now we're down here in this channel, which is right around the 350 to 400. So definitely could see it making a run to 400. And Netflix has these when it has strength behind an earnings run up, it could make a $20 day easily. So definitely keep an eye on that. NVIDIA is another one I want to keep an eye on. You usually don't have NVIDIA making these nasty drops, so whenever they have these nasty drops, they end up getting bought eventually. So, it had this nasty drop here, and it got bought up here, bought up. So I'm thinking, if it gets down to the 220 area, I might stop watching it. So maybe put like an alert or something here that if it gets down to 220, that might be an area to start looking long on it, on the NVIDIA. So if it does get to 220, that's what I'd be looking at for a push to possibly even fill the gap up here to 260, 250 area. So 250, which is right here, and you got 260 the gap fill. So semiconductors are just getting hit a little bit the last few days, so with shortages. But anyways, the last one, obviously SPY is what I play the most because I like SPX. SPY, you flip a coin, it's gonna be determined on news and the data that comes out this week. But I am seeing a head and shoulders right here. You get the left head right here, the left shoulder here, the head, and the right shoulder possibly. So we might be seeing that a drop for SPY, especially when inflation numbers come out. We can see it right here. It's pretty clear on the hourly. You get the left, the head, and the right shoulder right here. So I'd watch it underneath 445. It does manage to break this 445 area. It's got some room to drop. I mean, you got room down here to the 440, you got 435, 430, then you got 420, you got 425 right here. Basically it'd be $5 at 415. We'll have to see how far it will drop. It will be very dependent on inflation numbers now. VIX is, not, I mean, it's above 20, but down here when it's around 18, 17, that's when things start getting interesting. As you can see right here, it's like a heart monitor. It just pops and drops, pops, pops, pops. Right, the area seems to be right around the $18 area. So underneath 17 would be a more perfect scenario, but sometimes VIX just doesn't go that low. But VIX has a nice little weekly green doji candle, so I mean, it could try to pop right here this week. So definitely watch SPY for a head and shoulders to play out. If it doesn't, you know, I'll watch it both directions either way. Hopefully we just don't have any of those massive gap downs or gap ups, because it does change the dynamics of the play. That's why you need to be in the room, because those gap up and gap downs does change everything. So that's going to do it for the watch list. Hope to see you in the room, and thank you for watching.